Hi guys, this is Loki Mischief Collectibles back again for another one. Today we're going to talk about the undiscovered country. So, my birthday was early June, and I was kind of searching around, like, it's your birthday, you could just get whatever you want. So, I was just thinking, I don't have a lot of money, so I was thinking, let's find something on eBay interesting. Anyways, I wasn't sure what to get, but I typed in basically Snyder, who also does the Batman. Absolute Batman would be the most popular right now, but he's done a lot of Batman. Um, like this one, for example, sitting in the front of my, Court of Owls. For the new 52. That was Scott Snyder. Well, anyways, I typed in what else has he done, and this was one that came up, and it was interesting to me because, being quite honest, I'm into politics, all that stuff. Kind of a patriotic character myself, but interested in history, interested in politics. So I thought, oh, this is kind of a cool comic here, the story, the idea behind it. And it's written by Scott Snyder. So, it did 36 issues. Right now I have, I believe I got a deal basically where somebody was selling the first 19 issues. Um, so on eBay, it was a pretty, I didn't pay much for it, trust me. And they're all in perfect condition, but I think it goes all the way up to 36. So I will at some point be collecting all the way up to 36 in the comics. Didn't know if I was going to like it, but like I said, I got a good deal on it as a birthday present. So I'm like, let's do it. Scott Snyder, can't lose. Anyways, the reviews were mixed on it. And I'll talk about that because I could actually understand some of the negative reviews. But spoiler alert, I've never read anything Scott Snyder that I didn't like, and this hasn't been any exception so far. So, we'll talk about it. The first six issues, at least. So I've only read the first six issues. I actually reread them sort of this morning because I want to start reading all the way up to 19 here pretty soon. So, just so much stuff to read and do, but I was going to get to it, trust me. So yeah, we're going to talk about the first six issues. So essentially, the United States 30 years before, the timeline this takes place, walled itself off, to the rest of the world. Basically just announced, like, hey, 5 days, and everybody who's in here is in, everybody who's out is out. Even if you're American, you're not getting back in. So it was like the president gave an order, 5 days. There was a lot leading up to it. This is where the politics comes in that really got me interested. China messed with us financially, asking for all the money that we owe them and causing us to have a financial crisis, and, a whole bunch of other stuff was going on. And so we moved towards isolationism, from the rest of the world, because we're the United States, so we're like, try to survive without us, right? So it seemed to have happened sort of slowly but surely, where, like, first we built these sea walls, which, is it a seawall, or is it just to keep people out? You know what I mean? Obviously, we use the excuse of, they were seawalls, but from the the rising ocean. But obviously, there was more to it than that when you got turrets on those walls and stuff. And then, then we also created this, like, air wall technology. So, but, so basically the point is that we started to wall ourselves off, and slowly but surely isolated. And then, we closed all our military bases around the world kind of abruptly and quickly, brought all our, imagine that. I mean, they closed all the bases in Europe, Asia, even South Korea, brought all our stuff home. And then at some point, once everything was back, the president's like, all right, 5 days, it's like you have 5 days to get back here. And so I imagine some people who are outside, like in Europe and stuff, maybe on vacation or I don't know, we're just thinking like, should I go back? What is going on? So very interesting premise. So here we are, 30 years in the future. Nobody knows, at least outside of the United States, what the hell is going on in the United States, just that it's been walled off. Now, here's the thing. Outside the United States, you have two different powers now, alliances. One is the Alliance Euro Pan Afrique, I think, or something. Basically, Europe and Africa, and which makes complete sense. And I believe this was made in 2019. Don't quote me on that. We'll have to look that up. But if you think about the way things are going in Europe right now, it makes sense for Europe to have an alliance with Africa. Europe is taking in a lot of Africans right now, so almost like this is telling the future, right? So you have that alliance, and then you have the Pan Asian, which you can imagine is just Russia and China and everything around that area. Not sure where like Australia lands, or I haven't seen anything really specific, but basically there's just those two big alliances, the Pan Asia property zone and then the Euro Afrique. So in the 30 years that the United States has closed itself off, these two big alliances have now had wars. There's a lot going on, but the main thing at this moment, besides the United States cutting itself off, is there's this sky virus. It's called the sky virus, and it's just killing a lot of people. What's interesting in the first issue, we'll actually see if we'll kind of look in here. But right away it starts talking about the man. Now I believe this is this is a cover B, cover art by Jock, huh? Yeah, I really like this cover. Like I said, I got this in a lot. I didn't actually choose any of these books in particular. It was a perfect condition lot. I believe for 19 comics I paid less than $20. With a couple of one-shots, the Destiny Man, I believe, just two different covers. But it was a good deal. And I kind of caught it. So, dollar or less per comic. Probably about maybe a little more than $1, about $1 a comic, basically, though. So it starts out where there's this group that's formed, like I was telling you about with the sky virus, which I'll try to elaborate on a little more here in a second. But they're basically flying into the United States by invitation from this guy Sam Elgin, who claims to be like the leader of the United States, to get the cure for the sky virus because it's destroying the world. Nobody knows what's going on in the United States, but I think because of the nuke issue, because we have nukes, I think that's why people, even with the rest of the world dying, are not even daring to cross into the United States because, we have nukes and stuff, you know what I mean? So we probably threatened like, hey, leave us alone. And so people are just leaving us alone. Like, anyways, you see they're flying in, and you can see that's the seawall, or part of the seawall that they had built. And then they have the air wall, which I guess they're like the same thing, sort of, but the air wall is like, it just basically was technology to create like a shield over the United States. You can see there's like turrets. I mean, the art is just my type of art. This is my style. I like this. So yeah, they got in, and then right as they get in, you see this missile Right when they cross over, they thought they were safe, and somebody shot them out of the sky. And then it shows here that this is the sky virus thing. And now you can see she's treating somebody. She's a her name her name is Charlotte, I believe. I know her brother is Daniel. He's kind of one of the main characters in Mercenary, but she treats people with the sky virus. She's like a epidemiologist, I guess, or something. Anyway, she's treating this kid. It's a very interesting scene because she's treating this kid. She's in Athens, Greece, and these helicopters fly over. Well, they start talking about the helicopters are going to basically be dropping dust. And so these helicopters are dropping dust. Now remember, this is 2019. Well, let me look here. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, 2019. So this is 2019. This is actually before COVID, right? So just a little bit before. So it was already like it was coming. But basically, this was made, and it really makes you think after COVID, like the stuff that they can do if if we have some kind of major virus or something. Like the government's claiming here that these helicopters dropping antiseptic, right, so that people won't get sick. But the people who are getting sick are actually claiming that these helicopters are dropping stuff to kill them on purpose. So maybe it's the government that's giving everybody sky virus on purpose. It's a very interesting scenario, and the poor kids on the street are literally like telling this guy, like, we're gonna fight you for your umbrella, and he actually calls the umbrella a roof. And this guy's like, no, man, this is an umbrella. He's like, anything that can cover us from the dust is a roof. So anyways, it's a very interesting, this sky virus, whatever it is. It hasn't been explained too much yet, but essentially it's killing. They say that there's only months before it brings complete societal collapse. Maybe not everybody dead, but at least complete. I mean, if you lose 50% of your population, society is going to collapse, right? So that being said, that's what's happening with the sky virus. So, and you can see it kills this kid, which is interesting because he was fine right before the dust got dropped, right? But the second that the dust hit him, he died. But he already had the sky virus. But it's like I said, I wonder if those helicopters dropping the dust are part of it. So anyways, they got shot down, and it's just showing them. This is that guy, Sam Elgin, that sent them the message, like, we can give you, he's basically said that we can give you a cure to the sky virus if you come into America. We're ready to open our borders again, type of thing. So they formed a team. This Janet, who's the envoy from the Euro Afrique, and then Chang, who's the envoy from the Pan Asia. Charlotte Graves, Daniel Graves, who's the mercenary, and Valentina, she's like a journalist. You always got to have a journalist. Anyways, they're all flying. There's also that colonel guy. I believe he's a colonel. Pavel is his name. He's like from Poland or something, but he's basically like the leading them in, the soldier, essentially. But yeah, this is showing a flashback where they get that message and they all decide to take on the mission. So now they're in the United States and they're looking for this guy. Really good. And then boom, they come over this mountain, and then you just see this crazy, I don't know, it's like people riding these weird mutated animals, and the people are mutated, and there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. The art is amazing. If you just take the time to look at it, the art is amazing. Just whoever the artist is, and like I said, I'm a Scott Snyder guy. I'm more about the writing usually. But I do also enjoy the art. And this art is just, I mean, I can't even, yeah. But this, I think this is where a lot of people, let's just be honest, you know, this is where a lot of people, this page right here, no other page. I've read the first 6 issues, but I can promise you that this is the page where people flip to it after all this whole story about, America being closed off, blah, 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 we got in, blah, 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 blah. And then you get to this page and it's like, what in the F is going on? Like, this is insane, dude. It's just, I think a lot of people got thrown off by this. Like, what's going on? Okay, this isn't going to be like a normal post-apocalyptic. Like, this is going to be some weird stuff. Where is Snyder going to go with this? So I was thinking the same thing. But you know what? Like I said, I love Scott Snyder. And I'm okay with weirdness. So, but I think some people were thrown off. That's just being honest. And so that's where we're at. Pavel gets his foot basically chewed off by some giant buffalo, controlled by somebody. And yeah, so this is where it got kind of crazy. Like, you could see the guy on the buffalo here. He says, "You have invaded the United States of America." Yeah, and then poor Pavel gets his foot chewed off. So yeah, kind of weird. So then they realize, like, we got to get out of here. They're gonna kill us too. So they turn around and they finally, some guy finds them before they're caught. They go into the mountain, and this is where they end up running into Uncle Sam. So this is the silent minority. So it's just the survivors, basically, that aren't part of those crazy people. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of them, but that's probably why they call themselves the silent minority. Yeah, because there's not many of us left. And then they tell them about, the guy the people that were outside work for Destiny Man, which they haven't showed that guy yet, but he basically rules he's the dark god of the plains. So they have to stay inside or that guy's going to kill them. Something about putting them on the wall. Yeah. And then they have a whole plan where I guess every section, this is a little bit complicated, but this is where the story gets a little weird. There's different areas of the United States now, and each one has a key to get into it. So these people are trying to get to the next area because they want to complete this. It's called the spiral walk all the way to the heartland. I don't know what exactly that is. It's just called it's just their plan. They're going to do this spiral walk, the silent minority. And this is where Uncle Sam comes out. "My name is Sam Elgin, and I want you to save America." Yep. So that's the guy that supposedly, he called them there to give them the cure to the virus. Very interesting. It tells you like a timeline. Each issue at the end of the first 6 issues, I don't know if it goes on like this for all 36, but it tells you like a history, and each issue adds a couple more, pieces of history on each issue leading up to the ceiling. So I wonder if they're going to keep doing that though anyways, it's very interesting. Where I was saying about the tariff, it says, "In retaliation for an endless series of escalating tariffs." I mean, we're dealing with tariffs right now, right? This is 2019. I mean, it's almost like Snyder was predicting the future. "And trade wars that crossed multiple administrations, China called in its outstanding U.S. currency debt, causing an immediate devaluation of the dollar, blah, blah, blah." So that's where we started testing the air wall force shield technology. We had issues with power, Project Aurora. Anyways, very, very interesting. Like I said, I'm into history. I'm also into sci-fi stuff. I didn't see that coming. Like I said, I think a lot of people at this page, I mean, you could, it's so funny that you could pinpoint the moment, I think, where a lot of people said, oh, it was this page, where it's just like, okay, there's going to be a lot going on here. And I like it, a little quirky so far. That was only, the first issue, but yeah, I dig it. So far, so good. So then we got issue 2. I'm just gonna run through the rest a little bit here, but I am gonna show each issue. I don't want to do a 2-hour long video here, but it was my birthday lot, so I'm gonna enjoy showing it to you guys. So this shows this is issue 2. Great cover. This shows the Graves, Charlotte Graves and Daniel Graves. They're the brother and sister. This shows them growing up. But this is the moment where their parents basically tell them that they're going somewhere. And this is Uncle Sam Elgin. So there's a connection to them and Sam Elgin's parents, essentially. But basically they tell them the kids have to go, mom and dad can't go because they have important business here, but they're going to go visit their cousins. So the mom and dad, I don't know a lot about them yet, but they're up there. They're some kind of important people, maybe scientists, I'm not sure. But yeah, and so they're explaining, about the different states separated by walls and the key, and then they need to do this whole spiral walk thing. It's like a prophecy. But in order to do that, they're gonna have to get through each zone, I guess. The silent minority and Sam Elgin, who seem like the good guys right now. I don't know, kind of weird good guys, but yeah, they're the good guys. But so I guess yeah, so this is Destiny Man. Boom. I believe this is the first time that they show him. This is Destiny Man. A very interesting character. Basically him and a lot of the people in his crew are mutated, which I'm not too sure what's going on with that, but they're mutated. They have mutated creatures and stuff. Clearly they're isolationists and they don't want anybody in the United States because they made that clear right off the bat. This is his rolling city, Destiny Man. Very interesting character. But he wants to rule over everything. Obviously every great villain, that's their whole thing, right? So he wants to roll over the United States. Now, he has the key to get into the next territory that they want to get into. But he doesn't know where the door is. Sam Elgin knows where the door is. So Elgin's telling these cats, who are just here to get the cure, that first off, I don't know who called you here, but it wasn't me, even though it was my face. So I don't have the cure for you, right? But then he's also telling them, but I need you to help me, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's crazy. But these people are like, we don't know what we got to do, but let's just do it. It gets a little convoluted. It gets a little crazy. And I think that's where a lot of people, like I said, get lost. Now, this is some really cool stuff here. So I was talking about earlier about this, if you get in trouble, you're going to the wall type of thing, and you have to crawl the wall, whatever that means, or you'll die. And Pavel, like I said, he got caught, whatever. Destiny Man told him, you're going to tell me everything you know about Aurora, which I believe Aurora is what actually supposedly is in charge of the United States. But anyways, this is the wall. Very interesting. So if you're a criminal, I guess, or you're somebody who invaded the country, This is where Destiny Man puts you. He puts you on the wall. It looks like they're hooked to like a cord. But basically, they have to keep looking up, and they have to keep trying to crawl up. And if for some reason they stop, right? There's people at the top of the wall who have these creatures that like spew acid or something, and so basically you get tortured if you don't continue trying to crawl up the wall. Complete insanity. You know, this is a border wall, right? We're talking about border walls. So, yeah, very interesting. Cross our border illegally and we'll put you on the wall. Anyways, yeah, so it has a lot of flashbacks. The first couple issues, you know, kind of saying how they got here. And, yeah, I'm gonna drink some water here, but you know, very good art. And the thing about this story for me, at least, is just a lot going on, and I like it, and I can handle it. I can read. It's not too difficult for me to follow, but you know, I can imagine that a lot of people were like, you know, this is just too much for me, man. Like, I liked the idea, but you went a little off kilter. I think there's probably too many characters, right? Just right off the bat. Like, I would have already, even in the first issue, I would have killed off both those envoys, you know, from the different areas or whatever. I would have already killed off those characters, worthless, useless. I don't even know what they're, you know, it's just, he's got to whittle down all these different characters. But like I said, it's okay with me. Everything here is cool. So this is where, you know, issue 2, and then it turns out Daniel's a spy. He's actually working for Destiny Man. So yeah, that's a crazy twist right there. Which, you know, by issue 6, you know, he's showing his sister like, no, you know, it's not really. He's doing it because he's trying to find his father. So, you know, that's the whole thing with Daniel. You know, like I was showing you with them as kids. He's just trying to find his father. I'm just going to show you a little artwork. I'm not going to tell too much more story. I'll do a little more story, but essentially, like here, you know, he shows that he's already been here, tells his sister like he's working for Destiny Man, and you know, oh yeah, this guy. This guy here is Ace Kenyatta. He's a history expert. So this is an interesting twist. I believe it comes up in issue 3, in this issue, where it turns out that time in the United States is actually moving a lot faster than the world outside of it. So that's like a whole new, that's like a massive twist that Snyder threw in there, which I think immediately explains the mutated, you know, essentially the mutated humans in the United States. I mean, after 30 years, how are people already like completely mutated, right? And then also, you know, the weird creatures and stuff, right? And then just the general weirdness. It's like, how could the United States have gone completely off the, you know, in just 30 years, right? And I believe there was actually even a part where one of the people from the silent minority is like something about, you know, we've been, you know, closed off for 60, I don't know, 100 years. And it's just a weird moment, but it kind of flew by if you weren't really reading it. But I was like, but it was 30 years. I even had to look it back, and I said, but it was 30 years. Anyways, it turns out this guy's proving that time is moving faster here. He has some way to prove it with a quarter, blah, 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 blah. And eventually he finds out, it turns out that time is moving even faster than he had imagined. It's been so much. It hasn't been 50 years, which eventually it was 30 years, right? And the outside, it was 30 years, but inside, it's been much longer. He's like, I can't even. So he's basically saying they can't ever leave the United States now, because there's probably nothing left outside, the way time's moving. So just a really crazy twist. Like, okay, so it's been 30 years for everybody outside, but then in the United States, it's probably been thousands of years now. Which a lot of that doesn't make sense to me. Like, Sam Elgin was with Daniel's parents, and, but maybe because they're inside. I don't know. I don't know. All this time stuff throws me off, when Marvel started doing all this multiverse, all this time stuff and all this different stuff, it throws me off, man. And I try my best to keep up. But Undiscovered Country, there's just a lot going on. And I had read, somebody had said, once you get to like issue 12, and I was like, like issue 12, bro. But he's like, once you get to like issue 12, then you're really going to get into it. I'm like, but I'm already into it. Like I said, Snyder tells a compelling story. The story's great. But it's a lot. And if you're not like me, if you're not a crazy reader, and this, that a lot of stuff going on, too much for you. It's might be a little too weird. So I can see a lot of different things. So you can see Destiny Man, he's mutated. He's saying he's going to save America, blah, blah, blah. Drink some more water. But he's a cool villain. I like him so far. I got a couple one shots with this bundle. That is about him, I guess. I think it's just the same one shot but different covers. So here's Sam Elgin. He's trying to get them. So they had to steal the key from Destiny Man, which Daniel tells Destiny Man, I'm going to take the key. I'm going to tell Sam I'm helping him, but I'm actually going to help you. It's like a whole scheme. But he's basically a traitor. That's his sister she's all tied up, pissed off. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's betraying them. He keeps telling her, just trust me. I just want to find Dad, type of thing. But she ends up stealing the key, and she ends up getting it to Sam Elgin. So here's him with the silent minority. The artwork's, it's good. The pages are nice. I mean, I really like it. You see the artwork. And then, this is, like I said, the history thing. I like this. It's telling you all these different things that have happened. Comprehensive withdrawal of U.S. military from all the bases in Europe and Korea, stuff like that. Very interesting. If you're like into history, if you're into politics and stuff, it's pretty cool in that sense. But the weirdness, some people, like I said, you see a whale, on land, and you're just like, with guns on it and stuff, and you're just, okay, this is not what I thought it was gonna be, mutated humans and stuff, I had read some people saying that this would be like the next Walking Dead, and I like it, but I don't think it would reach that big of an audience. I don't think enough people would appreciate the greatness of it, if you can look at it that way. It reminds me of when Cable Guy came out in the 90s. And a lot of people just didn't really understand dark comedy. A lot of people just weren't into dark comedy. And if you're into dark comedy, Cable Guy was epic. I pretty much think Jim Carrey's best movie, in my opinion. And that's literally ever. I don't care what anybody says. To me, that is the best movie Jim Carrey ever made. And just watch it one time if you haven't. He's just amazing in that movie. Everything about it. And it's a dark comedy. It's really good, but it just turned out to be very niche because people it didn't reach a wide enough audience. Doesn't mean it's not good. I just think this one is a little tough. So this is him, blah, blah, blah. He wakes up. He's on the wall. Pavel's on the wall. Dude, the wall looks gnarly. You know what I mean? America and their walls, right? So very interesting. He's trying to climb up the wall. He eventually gets up the wall in this issue. See, it shows like his past as a military guy. Here's Destiny Man. Very interesting character. Take them at the wall. I'll meet you there myself. The artwork is just, I love it. I love it. Really good. So here's these creatures of the wall. I was telling you about it. If you're not climbing, if you're not looking up, they'll make these things like squirt like some kind of acid to kill you and burn your skin off. It's like torture, basically. Keep climbing or you die is what it is. And they have to do that all day, I guess. Very interesting. But Pavel's crazy. He gets up and he starts jacking all these fools because he doesn't like all these guys being prisoner or whatever. He's like, this isn't what America is all about. I'm from Poland, but even I know this is what America is all about. So he's trying to save everybody. A train. This is they finally they're getting into that next zone because she steals the key from Daniel and she ends up giving it to Sam before he can give it to Destiny Man. But Destiny Man's coming. He's coming in the next issue. I'm about to wrap up this. It's going to be like a 45-minute video, but you know what, guys? If you can't stick it out with me, I'm just kidding. It's all good. If you got to fast forward to the end, man, it's cool. I'm just having a little fun talking about my birthday comics, Undiscovered Country, man. So yeah, this is number 6, and you can see really cool cover. It looks like it's the first edition. I don't know, man. Anyways, 2019, story so far. 30 years ago, the United States sealed its borders, blah, blah, blah. So all the stuff I told you. This is an interesting issue. Pavel's going crazy, killing all these cats, trying to save all these people. There's Destiny Man again. He's trying to stop Sam Elgin from getting to the next to that next area of the United States. Pavel's going nuts. So he ends up helping them with one last thing, and then Pavel says, I'm staying here. Basically, I'm fighting to save these people on the wall. So it looks like he's going out like a G. And then this is Destiny Man's crew fighting with the Silent Minority and Sam Elgin. Sam gets back. So Sam ends up getting the key back, and he blows up Destiny Man's his rolling city, right? Blows it up. Because Destiny Man gives him something he wants, which is like a key card or something that he had. Or wait a minute. Oh yeah. So there's a submarine that's inside. Because Destiny Man collects all the vehicles from people that try to get into the United States. Destiny Man collects them and puts them. He has them like inside his rolling city. And this is Daniel's submarine from trying to get into the United States previously. He's a mercenary. But he has this thing, and after he gives Destiny Man the key, and he's like, but something before I go, he's like, I don't believe in destiny, and he blows up his rolling city, dude. It's an entire city. All his people dead. pretty crazy moment, actually. Because, up to now, you weren't sure really what the hell was going on with Daniel, but I think really now this proves that he is actually just about trying to find his father. He's not really on Sam's side or Destiny Man's side. Basically, he's on his own side, and I can basically see that now. See Sam still fighting. Very interesting. So they get in. The whole crew. Looks like they get in. So you can see on that train. Very nice. So they're going on to the next zone. Now, Destiny Man did give him the cure, but it's one shot, which isn't enough. Essentially, Charlotte would have to spend months creating a cure. But the thing is that we already know about the time lapse. So with that being said, it doesn't matter. Everybody on the outside is already dead. If it's lapsed hundreds of years, thousands of years, whatever it is, the sky virus has already wiped out the rest of humanity. So I don't think the vaccine is really important at this point. And that's why this moment here, which is a big time moment, where Valentina basically stabs Charlotte in the neck with the one cure, right? It's only one shot that she would have had to replicate in a lab, right? But because it was found out that Charlotte actually has the sky virus, she's like, nope, I'm going to save you. Boom. But I think the whole point here is, like I said, with the time lapse and everything going on, humanity's outside is likely dead. The sky virus wouldn't even matter anymore. I'm pretty sure sky virus doesn't even exist outside anymore if it's been hundreds or thousands. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's probably something else now. So it just threw a new twist on it with the whole time lapse. But I thought this moment was crazy. But it was actually a loving moment, right? Because she saved her life. And obviously Charlotte wouldn't have agreed to that. So this chick was just like, I'm going to stab you in the neck. Like, yeah, okay. So, yeah, she doesn't have sky virus anymore. Well, we'll see if it works, actually. But this part shows that, so Destiny Man is asking Aurora at the wall, which Aurora is this, this whoever runs the United States, just some kind of entity. I don't even know. You know what I mean? They don't really explain it, but he's standing at the wall and he's asking Aurora for a chance. I just want to walk the spiral. I'll do anything. Just let me prove I'm worthy. And Aurora, or whoever it is that hurt him, opened up the wall without the key. So Destiny Man shouldn't have been able to get to the next zone because he didn't have the key. But he asked the great Aurora, who I still have no idea who that is yet. Maybe in relation to this Project Aurora, blah, 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 about the sky. Anyways, it's a very interesting, a lot to talk about. You can understand why, it's just, there's a lot going on. And I didn't even talk about everything. I'm sure I missed things. You know what I mean? There's got to be a lot of things that I missed, to be honest. But, Snyder went a little nuts on this. And he told quite a story. First 6 issues. I still have a long ways to go and my brain hurts, just thinking about it. But like I said, I like it. It's just there's a lot going on, and unless you're an avid reader, and you can kind of parse it all out, you will have trouble with this series. But the art is beautiful. I'll show you all these covers. I'm not going to talk about these issues because I haven't read them. Look at that cover, 7. These were all in one lot. Only paid about $20. I mean, the art is just amazing. I really like this cover. Really like it. Basketball player in the background there. And see what? I mean, I don't even know where it's going, dude. See what I'm talking about? There's way too much going on here, right? Like I haven't read any. I'm not lying, because I do my best to avoid spoilers, right? So this is something that nobody else knows about but me. So there's nobody to tell me like, hey, did you read Undiscovered Country? Look, I don't know what this is, man. There's superheroes on this cover, right? Those are superheroes. So at some point we get superheroes, right? We don't have superheroes yet through number 6. I mean, a lot of weird characters, but nothing like this. So I don't know. Where are we going with this? There was a question in one of the earlier issues, what happened to American music with being closed off, isolated, right? We'd still be making music, man. Come on, it's America. The drone, very nice. These are cool, cool covers. Really dig the art. Story is like I said, it's weird, but seeing those superheroes, it tells me that it's probably going somewhere a little cool. I just need to hang in there and just kind of get through the weirdness. This is a very interesting couple of covers here for Destiny, man. That one shot I was telling you about. So it looks like, yeah, I got 2 different covers. It's just probably the same one shot. But this came with the lot of 19s. I actually got 21 comics in this lot for $20, so about $1 a comic. But anyways, yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you guys about Undiscovered Country. Scott Snyder, I mean, he's good. He's a good storyteller. I think he might have been on shrooms when he was writing this one, but why not? Sometimes you got to get a little weird. I enjoy all his Batman stuff, of course. I actually believe that he was the first one to write about the Court of Owls. I don't even think the Court of Owls existed before Scott Snyder, right? Maybe I'm wrong. But I thought that he had created the Court of Owls. But if he didn't create the Court of Owls, he definitely wrote them the best, right? He's, I mean, and then Absolute Batman. Everybody knows about Absolute Batman. I don't even want to talk about Absolute Batman because it just makes me so angry about how expensive it is to collect it. But that's a conversation for another day. I might even have to go digital on that whole series, man. And I'm not really into the whole digital stuff, but I really do want to read it and stuff. Maybe I'll collect the trade paperbacks at some point. But yeah, really, Undiscovered Country, really good stuff. We'll see where it goes after 6. Maybe it'll all come together. That superhero cover kind of enticed me. I do like the main villain, Destiny, man. He's an interesting character. And the whole premise is still good. So it's still got a ways to go. We'll see where it goes. Scott Snyder, I enjoy it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you made it through this almost 50-minute video, congratulations. You're part of the club. All right, you guys have a good one. We'll see you again soon.